Jono. How you guys doing?
Hello.
Good now.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are in Melbourne. You must be stoked that it's all opening up now.
It's so weird to think about because it feels like it's like I just don't know what I'm gonna do when what is socializing.
I'll go to the pub and be like, do I put my mouth on the tap? Yeah.
I had a beer yesterday to celebrate the news, and then I just got way more sloshed than I would have expected.
Yeah, like I haven't been like I think there was a midway point, or maybe like in August or whatever, 3 weeks in, and I was like, man, fuck this. Little did we know it would go. And I was like, all right, it's time for a bender. And then after that, I was like,
Uh-oh.
No.
I'm done. I've seen myself for the year. And obviously working towards your debut album's got to have kept you pretty busy as well.
So busy.
There's so much more admin than you would expect. You'd think that it would be like a mountain of work, and then it ends up being 2 mountains of work.
Yeah. And we're trying to write in the middle of all of that, and it's like we'll get caught up in like writing new songs that we're really excited about. And then it's like, oh, you gotta drag yourself away and be like, we haven't even released their first album yet.
What's the minutiae? What surprised you about the process? What things didn't you realize needed to be done that you've had to do?
I think that just the amount of like design stuff and making sure that everyone approves like design aspects, especially when doing vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl.
Because there's so many aspects to vinyl. We've only ever released stuff digitally, and like even a CD would make a simpler amount of sense because of its format. So it's like there's all these technical concerns about getting the music onto vinyl and getting that to work.
Yeah, like getting test pressings and making sure like the songs don't like, I guess, warp because of the record. And then we found out that like putting the test pressing on different record players, they each spin at different speeds, and so they can change like the pitch and the speed of the song. But that's nothing wrong with the pressing. It's like just
the player.
So it's like coming to terms as well with the fact that like it's like mixing and stuff, like listening to it on the desk versus listening to the mix like in my car with my shitty speakers or on my headphones, or like then switching to like neurophones and being like fancy. But like that's the surprising thing, is also realizing like how people will hear it literally differently, and they'll consume it differently than like how we have. Like I listen to most music in my car. I think both of us do.
Yeah.
A car is like a lot of our like test thing, where like when we finish a song,
Does it work in the car?
Yeah, John and I will listen to it in the car, and I'll listen to it on the way to work. I think it's like coming to terms with that has been really surprising. Like you can't control everything. Like we are so involved in every part of the process, so it's like having to let go when we release it, like preparing to like let the little baby, kick it out of the nest and it can learn to fly.
Like it's such an interesting thing, the idea of thinking about the thing that we spent like 2.5 to 3 years building up and spend it like an absolutely horrific amount of effort is just about to be in people's hands.
Yeah, time, money, emotional energy.
It's like there was an interview we did and someone was like, describe the record in 1 sentence, and I described it as 2 idiots almost ruin their lives trying to make 12 good songs.
Yeah.
So it's so fun, the idea of like it being out in the wild, and it's like it's our record, but it starts blurring the line between our record and someone else's. Like the audience, it becomes the audience's record when it comes out. So,
and that's what I'm excited for.
Very excited for that moment.
Yeah, that'll be really cathartic though. And I guess that already happens when you're at your live shows. Like as soon as you perform, like it becomes a conversation, not so much just like, this is my song. You know what I mean? Like particularly you guys.
Exactly.
You get down into the audience. Like there's so much just, again, community with your band. And I think like, obviously, and I think that must be like such a large part of why, you were Triple J on Earth Radio's most played artist last year, things like that. Like there's such a demand for you guys to have to have this work put out and for people to take hold of it and run with it.
Yeah, it's really nice like to have this obviously we're not like mega stars, but we still have like our community of like really dedicated fans, and it's weird to have fans or like talk about it as if they're fans, because they really are as like our friends as well. And it's like I'm really happy we created this community and like this space for people to feel safe and feel heard and like connect to something, I think, which is like, and it's so like, I don't know, I think about communities of fans around like, you know, like My Chemical Romance or like the 1975, where the stuff they do is very like conceptual and theoretical versus like what we do, which is very direct and it's like very honest. And it's really cool to see that community develop around something that's so straightforward and honest. It's like, I feel like this, and everyone's like, yeah, me too. And I love that. And let's all feel like this together. It's a beautiful community built on like honesty and safety, and it's cute.
Those are good pillars to have for a community. And you can like definitely with like don't fucking touch me, things like that. It's like so direct. So like, people appreciate it. It's refreshing. Some other songs I want to chat to you about on your album. Robert Smith, the Cure. Tell me what this man means to you guys, because you guys were almost, well, jokingly going to start as the Cure cover band, right?
Yeah, I think the Cure has been just like such a long running influence for both of us. I think I had a little bit of it, but I think it's a big thing, more of a thing for Heather. Heather's got the full like vinyl collection and everything.
So much. Yeah, my dad's like seen the Cure 3 times, and like whenever we're in the city in Sydney, he'll be like, I saw the Cure there. I saw them here, and I'm like, go fuck yourself. And like I cried. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Fuck off. But and I really love Robert Smith. I think he's really interesting because he's like very reserved and quiet. Like you see that interview of him on the red carpet, where that interview was like, "Are you excited?" And he's like, "No, not really." But he's also he's like very reserved, but also kind of like savage and vindictive. But he also has like, you wouldn't expect someone like him to make songs like Friday I'm in Love, or like these really like sickly sweet lovey-dovey pop songs. And I think like the way that the Cure can change their complete, like their sounds can do a 180 between records. Like you've got like Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, and like Boys Don't Cry, which are like very pop or like post-punky. And then there's albums like, my favorite album is Pornography, which is like depression, the goth
end.
It's what depression sounds like, but because I'm so like I love it, and I think it's really interesting, and I really admire like the way that they really stick to, like Robert Smith is like at the helm of it always. I think he's one of the only constant members of the Cure, and he just sticks to his guns. Like he wants to do what he wants to do and feel how he's feeling, and I really love that. I also love that he's just like a petty bitch. Yeah. How much he hated Morrissey. Because fuck Morrissey. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Fuck Morrissey. And he has very good morals.
Yeah, I love as well, like, I remember someone talking about, like, when The Cure played Splendor, apparently they emailed, like, tech questions, and it wasn't like the road crew who responded. It was actually Robert Smith himself who responded to the tech request. Yeah. He was like, oh yeah, this is the stuff that we have and what we'll need. Yeah. And apparently it wasn't like, it was like from him, which I love.
That's really it's nice. Yeah. Someone who is super involved with every aspect of the band. Yeah. I really love, not in like maybe he does it in like a control freaky kind of way, but I love to take stuff like that, because it just means you care, you know, and you're like, I want to talk to you about this, because why not just talk to me, because I know what's happening and I know what I want, and it's easier. Yeah, everything about them is like super aspirational.
Yeah, it's nice that he's like accessible as well. It doesn't make him seem such like unobtainable superstar celebrity sort of thing. You're like, oh, this guy's just another guy who just really cares about music and wants the best for his product. Like, that's really that's refreshing. I wanted to ask you about Quit as well, because that one's your only co-write on there with Zach from Northeast Party House, and you've got vocals by Alex Lady and Eilish Gilligan. That's huge. What's this little squad? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so this song was kind of born out of like, okay, what happens if we do like co-writing stuff? Because like with everything's so far by that point was written exclusively the two of us in a room,
and with very strict rules too.
Yeah.
Like Jono was like, it has to be one guitar, one bass part, drums and vocals. Like maybe not even harmonies for a lot of the first songs, unless Jono could do them. Because it's like, if we work within those parameters, we can push everything as far as it needs to go. Yeah. And then in production, like when we took it to Gab, he could add stuff, and when we figured out how track works. But definitely starting, it was like, we have to be simple, because you don't want to be that like opener who rocks up to a venue
with like tons of gear and and be the band that's like horrible for a sound tech to work with. But yeah, and then like doing that song with Zach was so fun, and it was just like immediately felt super right. And then
did you do a bunch of co-writes, and that was the one that stuck, or was he like the first and only?
No, we oh sorry.
No, go for it.
We did one with him. It was our first ever co-write, and we didn't finish the song. We kind of just like played around a bit. We went to like his little studio and just like vibed a bit, but we were quite nervous because I've only ever written with Jono. Yeah. So I was very nervous that someone else being there to witness me be a mess. But the second one was sick, because I know Zach, I love Northeast Party House. And then he and I realized like we're both Leos, and we both have like very similar like horoscope, like birth charts. And we like, the amount of vibe was insane. Like poor Jono's at the computer,
like trying to get the song right, and those two are just in the back of the room scatting at each other.
We were literally just scatting. We were like, what if the verse is like Skablan? Jono's like, please, for the love of God, shut the fuck up and write the song. But the song came out of like the song just came out of having so much fun. We were like, we love this instrumental. Writing with Zach is so bright and happy and easy. Like we can fuck around because we got something really good out of it.
Yeah. And then when it came time to like produce the song and get it to the place where we got it, it was like working with Gab. He had like a session that night with Alex and Eilish. They were like going to write a song together. And so it was like, well, we can tell them to come early and they can record some backing vocals, and then we can go to dinner, and then they can write a song after that. So it was just like this beautiful day.
It was so sweet, and we're such big fans of like Eilish and Alex as well. Like we played a show with Alex, and Jono did like a version, and like Eilish, I'm obsessed with. Like she's so sweet. She's just a regular person, and I'm like, I would die for you. So you know that. And like now it's nice that we're friends now, which is nice. But it was really cool because it was super organic. Like the whole thing, none of it was forced.
Yeah.
It was very like, it takes a village, you know.
And just kind of letting it be that.
Yeah.
It was a fun thing just to be able to go like, oh no, we can make songs however we want to. Like it doesn't have to be like, you know, we can set limits and restrictions on ourselves creatively to get the ball rolling. But once the ball is rolling, you can just kind of
just let it
go.
Let it go. And then Gray and Richie recorded like bass bits for it. It's really cool. Like
just nice to have everyone involved. Really.
You mentioned Gab, who's Japanese Wallpaper, and you guys have done all of your singles with him, right? How did you meet him in the first place? How did that originally get teed up?
That's a good question.
From what I remember, we our first year as a band, where we were just completely DIY and by ourselves, everything was cool, and then we got added to Big Sound before we had a song out, and because we sent them our demos, and then everything kind of went south.
It like exploded.
Because everything just became like, oh my God, there's so much more stuff to organize. We started playing like bigger shows and things. All these opportunities and things started rolling out of what it meant to now be in that part of the world. And
I think it was the moment where people were like,
crap, what's the thing that exists?
Yeah, like you transition from like, we're just two people writing songs and playing shows and no one knows who we are, to like, you know, people say whatever about Big Sound, and it's like, it's, I don't know, I guess kind of a very good confirmation that like, hey, what you're doing is worth doing, and like keep doing it because people are interested or people are curious about you.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we hold on to that curiosity, prove to people that, like, yeah, we do want to do this. Like, this is the only thing I want to do with my life, and I want you guys to notice and take it seriously.
But yeah, when we came out of that little window where we're like, oh my God, there's so much stuff going on, we ended up getting like shaking hands with like management and all this sort of stuff. And they were like, okay, where do you want to go? And it's just like, from my background in like the rock world and stuff, it's like, okay, we want to be more of a pop band, or just be able to explore that side of ourselves.
Yeah.
So working with a producer who can balance me out, because I do a lot of the instrumental stuff, and then Heather and I work on the vocals together. Having someone that can balance out my like rock sensibilities and my crazy stuff that I do, and someone like Gab wakes up in the morning, he loves pop music.
Yeah.
He goes to bed at night loving pop music, and having someone like that as a balancing act for for like in that 3-person like production crew that is us.
It's a very diverse group.
Yeah, but just it's like choosing him was because he has that pop background. So like the first 2 songs we did with him, DFTM and Two Hearts, was just like, okay, let's give it a go, see if it works. And then working at those 2, it was like, oh, this just he pushes us.
Yeah,
he pushes us where like in such a great way, because he comes at music from such a different perspective.
Yeah, a completely different perspective, and he has a completely different way of working, and he brings out things in the song or adds things in production that like we never would have thought of or noticed.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool because that in turn affects how we see things and like changes how we write new songs, because we think about like, what do you reckon Gab could do?
Like the bracelet, what would Gab Strum do?
Yeah. And then it was really interesting because he also produced Robert Smith. Like he did, you know, like when you listen to, you know, like Imaginary Friends or, you know, any of his other songs, like on Glow, it's like, you look at that and then you look at Robert Smith and you're like, what?
Same guy.
What? But
good. Yeah, so he's versatile as well, and you guys can learn from each other.
That's been the great thing, is that we've learned. I think he is, for the most part, has worked with a lot of like solo artists and people within the pop world. So then to work with like more of like a band, I think has been a great, like, us being able to learn different things from each other.
Yeah, and like when we went, you know, when we approached him, the only song we had out was Walk Away, which is like big punk song. So it's like, you do this stuff with pop people, like, would you like to work with our punk bands?
Yeah.
And then it was like magic. It's so good. We also love the same bands as well. Like we really vibed over like the 1975, which was a big, and like, and also like cursed memes.
Yeah, I think
like the first session where it was like, production prep, like what are we gonna do? We spent half of it watching like extremely cursed videos.
So niche. I love that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's like, I think it's really important to find a producer that matches as well. Like that's such a hard relationship, to have someone that you can like be open with ideas and things like that. Like it's almost, I've said in the past, but it's like almost like finding a therapist that works well.
Yeah.
You know? Like it's not, like first time's never going to be the charm, to be honest. And so it's like, super hard.
Well, we did that first, in 2018, we actually did our first batch of recordings with some people in Sydney who were my like mentors as an engineer and producer. And working with them was great, but kind of through that process realized that was like the rock world.
Yeah.
So if us as like a rock/pop band that lent towards rock at the time went into a rock production environment, we would end up like solidifying that, like just that guitar rock thing. But by throwing the spanner in the works that is a pop producer, it kind of helped recalibrate us.
Yeah, makes it more interesting. Like you don't want another straight up rock band. Those exist and they're good. They have their place, but it's like, let's do something new.
Yeah.
Might as well.
You want your own niche. And that's good for you guys to recognize as well. Is there a song on the album that hasn't been released yet that you guys are most excited to get out?
I think Quit is the only.
Yeah?
Oh, wait, no. Yeah. I was thinking songs we hadn't played live. For me, I'm very, very excited about Quit.
Yeah.
No one's heard it, really.
Yeah, it's Quit. It's only people who have, like, done, like, the press end of people have heard it. And everyone else, like, most of our audience who are the biggest fans of us haven't heard that song yet. So very excited for that. But also, like, a great thing has been through playing a lot of these songs live for so long is that our audience like has different songs as their favorites. So, for example, like a lot of people who saw us early on, they like Don't Go is their favorite song, and that was like the very first Cry Club song.
Yeah, the first song we ever sat down and wrote together was Don't Go, which is beautiful.
Nice to have it on the record.
Circle.
Yeah, the people aren't sick of it.
And like there is a lot of people who like One Step. Like it's really interesting.
Dissolve.
And Dissolve. We're putting out Dissolve.
Tomorrow. Too many hits tomorrow. Holy shit! All right.
Yeah.
Just as like another one before the record comes out, because why not?
Good. Nice.
But yeah, it's just nice to be able to like when we were like talking about whether or not we should do an album or an EP, we were kind of confronted with the fact that a lot of our audience loves things that would be album tracks. So we could have gone like from a music industry perspective and from where we are as a band, we probably shouldn't be doing an album. We should be doing an EP. We should do like the Australian music path is you do 2 or 3 EPs, and if you're building your audience, you do an album. And like, wow, what a great path that everyone follows. But for us, it was like, well, it's kind of disrespectful towards the audience that we've developed so far if we let some of those songs like just slip into the ether. It's way better if they're in our audience's hands. Yeah,
we have such a sense of like responsibility and like duty of care to our audience. Like, if you don't have an audience, you don't really have anything as a musician. Like, who's going to listen to anything? So like we always want to think, not like, what would the audience like? We're not ruled by that, but it's like, you want to do right by the people who really love your stuff. And when people overwhelmingly tell you how much they love something, it's like not, I was going to say like you kind of owe it to them, but you don't owe someone anything, but it's like,
you want to do right by them. Yeah,
because we love them so much. So I think Don't Go and Dissolve are like fan favorites. So we were like, you got to have it. Here you go.
And also, I think the formula of EP, possible EP, album, like, guys, your band doesn't stick to formulas. Like, you guys don't rock you don't walk that same path as everyone else always. So, like, why do it now? Like, and if you have the body of work that can fit together into an album, a lot of people release EPs, so they're like, oh, fuck, I only have, like, 5 good songs. So, like, we'll just do an EP. You guys have an whole album's worth. Like, you'd be doing yourself a disservice. Come on.
This is such an interesting thing where it's like because I come from like a studio background where I'm used to like my day job is recording and producing people. And like
lucky
from that world is like there's this whole thing where it's like, or if a band's coming in to record an EP of let's say 5 songs, that means they should have written like 20 to pick from, because statistically you can't expect every song you write to be good.
If you write 5 songs, you might have one like great song, and it's like, do you want an EP of like 5 okay songs and 1 really good one, or do you want to spend the time to write 20 songs and maybe have 5 like really sick songs?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think if I look at my like demo folder, like
it's gonna be chockers.
One of the last songs that we worked on is like, I think it's 130.
Wow. Yeah, right.
Yeah, 129. So we put we put so much work in on the back end and write so much stuff. So if a bad song just shows up, well, it can fuck off.
Yeah, it's like whatever. We've got so many other things to choose from.
Yeah, that's good. Well, then we know, like, obviously this upcoming album, top quality, top shelf songs right here.
Yeah, the best of the best. It's the greatest hits of Cry Club from conception to now.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome. Guys, before I let you go, I have one last question. So the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. What's the first rule of Cry Club?
Cry if you want to, I think. I don't know.
First rule of Cry Club is don't be afraid to cry.
Yeah.
No one's going to hate on you for crying.
Yeah.
Again, it's a safe space. You guys are just creating a safe space. I'm about it.
First rule of Cry Club is like, tell everyone about Cry Club. It's like the opposite. Second rule is
talking about Cry Club.
Yeah. Yeah. If I catch any of y'all,
stop talking about Cry Club.
You talk about something else, you out of here.
So yeah.
I love that. Thanks, guys. This has been really nice.
Thank you so much for having us.
You.